Hello dear students, so we continue with the lesson on light. Next part. Before we move further for spherical mirrors, yesterday if you have seen I have told you what are spherical mirrors. The mirrors which are a part of a sphere, they are called as spherical mirrors. So before we move further on spherical mirrors, we need to recognize and understand the meaning of few terms. Okay, so before studying the mirrors, there are a few terms which we are going to see. These terms are commonly used in discussions about spherical mirrors. Okay, so let us see the terms one by one. First is pole. The center of a reflecting surface of a spherical mirror is a point called the pole. This I had shown you yesterday also. In the yesterday's slides, if you have seen carefully, you must have seen the pole. The pole is the center. You see, this is the reflecting surface and this is the center of the reflecting surface, and it is called as the pole. This red dot over here in the figure next to you. Okay, and it is denoted by the letter P, capital P. Okay, next is our center. Now what is center? The reflecting surfaces of a spherical mirror form a part of sphere. Okay, now see, supposing this is my mirror, or this is this side, this is my mirror, then you see if you extend the sides you get a sphere over here. That means this mirror is a part of this sphere. Okay, so the center of this sphere will be called as center of curvature. Okay, so the reflecting surface of a spherical mirror forms a part of sphere. Okay, reflecting surface forms a part of sphere. See, dotted line, the sphere is completed. Okay, in the second figure down there, this sphere has a center. You see, there is a center over there, and this point is called the center of curvature of spherical mirror. So see, capital C, both the sides you can see in concave and convex. C is present, that is center of curvature, and it is represented by the letter capital C. Okay, then we have radius R. Okay, now what is radius R? The radius of sphere of which the reflecting surface of a spherical mirror forms a part is called the radius of curvature of mirror. Okay, now already we know that this mirror is a part of the sphere. You can see the sphere over there which the mirror completes. Then this sphere is having a center. So definitely if it is having a center, it also has a radius. So whatever is this radius, you can see distance between C and P. It is marked as radius of curvature. Okay, in the other figure also you see distance between C and P marked as radius of curvature. So this is the radius of curvature, and it is represented by the letter capital R. Then we have principal axis, that is, imagine a straight line passing through the pole and the center of curvature of a spherical mirror. You see this dark line which is passing through center of curvature and pole. On the other side also there is a line which is passing through center of curvature and pole. This is an imaginary line. We have imagined it so for our convenience. So that is why it is called as an imaginary line, and this line is called as the principal axis. Okay, there it is marked over. See here in the first and second figure, both the places it is marked principal axis. Okay, then remember that principal axis is normal to the mirror at its pole. Now what is the meaning of normal? Normal means perpendicular. Where is the principal axis perpendicular? It is to the mirror at its pole, means at the pole. If you draw a straight line which will pass through pole, that is a tangent you can say, then this principal axis is perpendicular to this point on pole, that is, it is 90 degrees. Okay, so this is what is your principal axis. This is one point to remember. Then the next is aperture. The diameter of the reflecting surface of a spherical mirror is called its aperture. Now diameter of reflecting surface. Okay, now supposing this is a mirror, This here you see aperture figure. Third figure here, if this is a mirror, then if you twist it and you see the front view, it will look like a circle only. If you see the this mirror from the front side, because we have cut it from a sphere, when you see the front view of it, it will look like a sphere. So the diameter of this sphere is called as aperture. Okay. The next we are going to start is focus and principal axis. Now so many terms already we saw, that is pole, aperture, center of curvature, radius. These are some more terms. Okay. In this you will see what is focus and principal focus. Now just see these two figures. The first A figure is for a concave mirror and B figure is for a convex mirror. Now when you see these rays are rays of light which are falling on the spherical mirrors. In A it is for concave and in B it is for convex. Now see in A figure, you will see that as the ray of light is falling on the mirror, they are all reflecting and moving in one point which is called as F in front of the mirror. Okay, you can see it in this first figure. Okay, this is for concave. And B figure, you will see that the rays of light are coming, falling on the mirror and diverging in different directions in front of the mirror. Okay, whereas if you see behind the mirror, they are meeting in one point which is called as F. Okay, so this is our focus. Okay, so just remember, in concave mirrors, the ray of light is incident. These rays of light are incident on the mirror, and after reflection they meet in one point. Everybody meets in one single point, and that point is called as focus. Now in a concave mirror, this focus you will see in front of the mirror, whereas in concave you will see this focus is behind the mirror, because front side of the mirror the rays are getting diverged in different directions. Okay, so come on, let's read out the points. A number of rays parallel to the principal axis are falling on a concave mirror. Just see. This is the principal axis passing through C and P. This is the principal axis, and all the remaining are parallel to this principal axis. They are meeting or intersecting at a point on the principal axis of the mirror. This point is called the principal focus of the concave mirror. Understood? So wherever they are reflecting back and meeting, this point is called as principal focus of concave mirror. Okay, the reflected rays appear to come from a point on the principal axis. Okay, the reflected rays appear to come from a point on the principal axis. There is some infinite object is there at infinity, and from there these rays are coming. Then this point is called as principal focus of the convex mirror. Okay, so here you see convex mirror. Here these rays are coming and they are reflecting back, and it is just behind the mirror. Okay, so this is a principal focus for convex mirror. It is behind the mirror. The principal focus is represented by the letter capital F. You see everywhere in both the figures it is represented by the letter capital F. Now the distance between the pole, okay, pole stands for P, and the principal focus, that is F. See, distance between P and F of a spherical mirror is called the focal length. It is called the focal length. Which distance between P and F? Whatever is the distance, that distance we are calling it as focal length, and it is represented by the letter small f. Remember children, focal length is represented by letter small f, whereas principal focus is denoted by the letter capital F. So when we are denoting focus, we denote it by capital F, and when we are measuring the distance, we are measuring it in terms of small f. Remember. Next, Next we are going to see the relation between the radius of curvature and the focal length of a spherical mirror. Okay, now you know what is the radius of curvature. Radius of curvature means the radius of sphere of which the mirror is a part. Okay, and what is the focal length? The distance between P and F, that is called as focal length of a spherical mirror. Okay, now we will just see what is the relation. Is there a relation between radius of curvature R and focal length F of a spherical mirror? Let's see. For spherical mirrors of small aperture means a small part is cut and the diameter of it. Okay, the radius of curvature is found to be equal to twice the focal length. When it is a small aperture, the radius of curvature, okay, when the spherical mirrors are of small aperture, the radius of curvature is found to be equal to twice the focal length. Okay, you can see in this figure, you see this line here, this becomes our mirror. Here is P, pole, here is F, that is focus, and this is your radius of MN, is your aperture. Okay, radius, this is diameter, sorry. So this diameter is found to be 2 times of R. Diameter is 2R, of course diameter is 2 times radius. Okay, next. So we put R is equal to 2F. Okay, so what is R equal to? So 2R is equal to F. We are saying, R upon 2, that is radius upon 2 becomes focus. So R is equal to 2F. Okay, this implies that the principal focus of a spherical mirror lies midway between the pole and the center of curvature. What does it mean? That focus is the midpoint of the distance between pole and center of curvature. Okay, simply remember this formula. We will be using this formula in many calculations. Okay, here. Again, here I have shown you the aperture figure. Okay, this is the aperture. So we see that this aperture, it is 2 times R. That is the, of course, aperture means the diameter of the spherical mirror. So in small mirrors, this aperture is equal to 2R. Okay, and R is equal to 2 times F. You can make it out from the figure. Okay, fine. Next part. Okay, there are some rules for image formation by mirrors. Now let us move on to the rules for image formation. I had told you in the previous slide what is image. Image is a thing which is formed in the mirror. That is an image. Okay, so what is the first rule? Let's see. Okay, first rule is a ray parallel to principal axis after reflection will pass through the principal focus in case of a concave mirror, or appear to diverge from the principal focus in case of convex mirror. Let's go one by one. Okay, a ray parallel to principal axis. Now just see, there is one ray here which is parallel to the principal axis. Can you see CP here in this figure? And this is a ray parallel to the principal axis. After reflection, now this is, it is reflecting here. Here you see it is gone and it is reflected back. Will pass through principal focus. Here you see it is passing through F. You see the arrows. Okay, first arrow, this is parallel to principal axis. After reflection passes through focus. In case of concave, this is a concave mirror. Okay, and in convex, what will happen? This ray is parallel to the principal axis and it reflected back and it diverged. Diverge means went away from the mirror. See, the ray is reflected and went away from the mirror. But if you extend these lines, you will see that it is passing through the focus behind the mirror. Okay, this is behind the mirror. Here it is passing through the focus. Okay, so this is the rule, first rule. If any ray is going parallel to the principal axis, after reflection it has to pass through focus. Okay, please remember this is first. For both the diagrams I have shown you here, for concave as well as for convex mirrors. Second rule, we have the second rule here. What is the rule? A ray passing through the principal focus of a concave mirror or a ray which is directed towards the principal focus of a convex mirror after reflection will emerge parallel to the principal axis. Now initially, first, what was the rule? That the line was parallel to the principal axis. Now what is the second rule? Second rule is the ray which is passing through the focus. The ray which will pass through the focus after reflection, how it will go? It will go parallel to the principal axis. Okay, what was the first rule? First rule was if it is parallel to the principal axis, after reflection it passes through focus. And what is the second rule? Second rule is if it is passing through the focus, after reflection it will go parallel to the principal axis. Okay, just the opposite of the previous one. Alright, so this is the diagrams I have shown you here on both the sides. See, one is for concave and one is for convex. Then the third rule we have, let's see what's the rule. Rule is a ray passing through center of curvature. Now you know what is center of curvature. Center of curvature is a point C which is the center of the spherical mirror of which the mirror is a part. Okay, that is your center of curvature, so capital C. So the ray passing through center of curvature of concave mirror or directed in the direction of center of curvature of a concave mirror. Now this is the same thing, or just in two different languages it is written in your textbook also. After reflection, what happens? Let's see. Means if any ray is passing through center of curvature, what will happen to that ray? We will see that. Okay, E is reflected back along the same path. If it is passing through center of curvature, it will go back in the same direction. It will not change in its direction. See here in this figure, you see one arrow getting through the C point and another arrow again falling out from the C point. In the convex type of mirrors also, the line is passing, going through center of curvature and taking the same path. So there is no change in the direction of line when there is no change in the direction of light when it is passing through center of curvature. This is illustrated in the figure. You can see it in the figure. The light rays come back along the same path because the incident ray falls on the mirror. Okay, incident ray falls on the mirror along the normal to the reflecting surface. Okay, so this is what it goes and it comes back in the same direction. Okay, next rule we will see. Rule number 4. Let's see what is the rule. The rule is a ray incident obliquely to principal axis. If it is incident obliquely to principal axis towards a point P, means supposing it is coming and it is ray is coming and it is falling on point P, then how it will go? In both the cases, whether it is concave or whether it is convex, okay, is reflected obliquely. The incident and reflected ray follow the law of reflection of a point of incidence. They follow the law of reflection. How? Angle of incidence equal to angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. You have studied this. And why? Because you know, remember we have studied in principle, the principal imaginary line, that is the principal axis, is normal to P. That is, it is perpendicular to this point. So if it is perpendicular, it will follow the law of reflection. You remember the law of reflection, angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. So for both the diagrams, okay, remember that in all the above cases, the law of reflections are followed. Okay, everywhere law of reflection is followed. At the point of incidence of the incidence, the incident ray is reflected in such a way that the angle of reflection equals to angle of incidence. Okay, so everywhere it follows. Okay, you can see these two figures, and here we finish with the 4 rules. Okay, Okay, so next what we are going to study is image formation by concave mirrors for different positions of object. Okay, now what we do, we will see how the image is formed in a concave mirror for different positions of the object. Means we keep the object at different places and we see how the image is formed. Okay, what is the position of the object? That these are different positions. Means one is at infinity. Once we keep the object at point C, then at beyond C, then we keep it at C, then between C and F, at F, and between P and F. That means slowly we are trying to bring the object towards P. Okay, from infinity we are trying to bring the object towards the pole. Now see the position of image. How is the position? See, it is at the focus between F and C, at C, beyond C, at infinity, and behind the mirror. Means here you see, from here slowly the image is going away from the mirror, and as it is going away from the mirror, there is a point where it goes behind the mirror when it is very close. See, even we cannot see anything kept very close, we cannot see it. So when the object is kept very close to the mirror, that is between P and F, then the image goes behind the mirror. And you see how the size of the object changes. So initially it is point size, but slowly and gradually the size increases. And finally it becomes big in size. Okay, and what is the nature? Real and inverted. Children, I have already explained you these terms. The nature is when it is real and inverted. Okay, so these are real and inverted every time, and virtual and erect. Erect means state and virtual means artificial. Okay, so let us study each one of these image formations one by one. Now these are the overall ray diagrams which are given in your textbook. Okay, so just one by one we will see them from the next slide onwards. Okay, children, all these ray diagrams along with the table, you have to draw the ray diagrams in the classwork notebook, and you have to draw the table also. Okay, now first one, you see, this is the first one. What is the position of object? It is at infinity. You see, object is at infinity. Okay, so means somewhere very far. Okay, then what is the position of image at focus? This we have studied, no? When we studied focus and principal axis, principal focus, rays are coming from infinity parallel to the principal axis, and they converge. This is called as converging. When they come together and meet in one point, they converge, and where is the image formed? Image is formed at F. Now this is an arrow. Can you see a big arrow here? No, you just see a point. What does it mean? What is the size of image? Highly diminished means very small. Point size, we can call it as point size. Okay, and what is the nature of image? How it will be? Real. Real and inverted. Why real and inverted? Because object and image are on the same side. Okay, and real and inverted. Okay, so this is our first ray diagram. Then second one, you see, what is the position of object beyond C? Means somewhere after C, somewhere AB. Here you see AB is the object. Okay, what is the position of image? You see here between C and F. Can you see C and F? And between that A dash B dash is the image. Okay, and how is the size? Diminished means small. See, anything smaller than what is the object, that becomes diminished or small in size or point size. Okay, so this is small in size as compared to the object. Okay, and what is the nature? It is again real because it is on the same side of the mirror, and invert. Okay, so this is our second ray diagram. Then third one, you see, where is our object? It is kept at C. Here you see at C it is. AB is at C. Then this ray is passing parallel to the principal axis. After reflection passes through focus. Follows the law of reflection. Second line, you see, this is one more ray which is passing through focus, and after reflection it is parallel to the principal axis. So first rule and second rule both are used here. You see the image is formed here at A dash B dash. It is inverted. Okay, so object is at C and image is also at C. And what is the size? It is small size. So small size is same size. the same size as that of the object. AB is equal to A dash B dash. And what is the nature? It is real and inverted. Okay. Then we will see our next ray diagram. Here you see where is the object between C and F. Here you see AB is between C and F. Then one ray went passing through C. You know, after passing through C, it will not take any other path. It comes back in the same direction. Second ray from here parallel to the principal axis, after reflection passes through focus. So wherever they meet, here. So here is the image formed. What is the size of image? A dash B dash. This is image A dash B dash. Okay. Okay, and you see as compared to the object, it is a little bigger in size. So we say that it is enlarged. What is the nature? Real and inverted. Okay, so this was our fourth ray diagram. Next, move on to the next one, E. Fifth one, where is the object now? It is at F. Okay, so what happens? One ray passes through C, takes the same path after reflection. Second ray parallel to the principal axis, after reflection passes through focus. Okay, so these two rays, and you see here dots are going somewhere at infinity. So where is the image formed? Image is formed at infinity. So we can't, they don't seem to meet here close by. They will meet somewhere very far. And what is the size? Then the size will be very, very large, highly enlarged, and nature will be real and inverted. Okay. In the last ray diagram, position of object, see it is going closer, closer, closer. Now the object is between P and F. Here it is AB. Okay, so one ray passing through C goes in that direction and comes back in the same direction. Second ray passes through this object. Okay, now this is incident at P. Okay, you remember the fourth rule. Whenever they are incident at P, they follow the law of reflection. They will reflect back taking the same path. But this line we extend in the backward direction here. This also extend in the back. So where is the image formed? A dash B dash. This is behind the mirror. So since it is behind the mirror, it is big in size. Of course, it is big in size, and finally it is virtual and erect. Okay, it is straight. This is the only image which is straight. So these are the ray diagrams for concave and convex. Sorry, it is for concave mirrors. Now let us see the uses of concave mirrors. Okay, the uses. There are some very important uses. Concave mirrors are commonly used in torches, searchlights, and vehicles headlights to get powerful parallel beam of light. Okay, you see here they are used here, and here you see in torches. I have shown torches here. Next is they are often used as shaving mirrors to see a larger image of the face. You see shaving mirrors, or here it is makeup, for makeup also if she is using. The dentist use concave mirror to see large images of teeth of patient. You see this is the dentist mirror, this one it is. You must have seen when you go to the dentist. This is the mirror, and you see that image the person is trying to see inside this. Okay. Then next we see they large concave mirrors are used to concentrate sunlight to produce heat in solar furnaces. Okay, so large number of concave mirrors you must have seen, so that they focus in one point for solar furnaces. Okay, so these are some uses of concave mirrors. Now let us see image formation by a convex mirror. Okay, there are only two images which are formed by a convex mirror. The reason is it is a diverging mirror. Okay children, so it diverges the rays of light, means the rays are going away from each other. What happens in concave is the rays are coming together and falling on focus, but these they are diverging the rays. Okay, so just see position of object. First one, for the first one, position of object, it is at infinity, and what is the position of image? It is at the focus behind the mirror. So here is the image formed and it is behind the mirror. it is highly diminished. Point size means you cannot see the image at all. And how is it? Since it is behind the mirror, it is virtual and erect. Okay, so then see the second ray diagram again here. Now where is the object? It is between infinity and the pole of the mirror. Okay, so somewhere between infinity and pole. Okay, this object is here. Fine. Now what happens? Ray of light, one ray of light goes parallel to principal axis. After reflection diverges, but it passes through focus behind the mirror. Second one, which passes through C, takes the same path. Okay, so object is formed somewhere between P and F. It is behind the mirror. You see A dash, B dash, small object. So image is between P and F, behind the mirror. Okay, between P and F, behind the mirror, there is image. How it is? It is diminished. Diminished means small size. And again, since it is behind the mirror, nature is virtual and erect. Okay. Now we will see uses of convex mirrors. These are the uses. Convex mirrors are commonly used as rear view mirrors in vehicles. You see, these are rear view vehicles. In vehicles, you see these mirrors, they are used there. Then these mirrors are fitted on the side of vehicles, enable the driver to see traffic behind him or her to facilitate safe driving. Okay, children. So you know the side mirrors which are there in our vehicles, they are all convex type of mirrors. Then convex mirrors are preferred because they always give a erect through diminished image. Okay, so they give a proper image, and straight image means not inverted. Okay, so that is why they are used. Also, they have a wider view, a wider field of view, as they are curved outward. You know, because of this curve. Here you see this figure. This man is standing in the mirror and taking a photograph. So here you see it is, since it is curved, it is giving such a wide view of what is there behind the mirror. Okay, so it gives a wider view. Thus, convex mirrors enables the driver to view much larger area than would be possible with a plane mirror. Okay, so this is there is a give reason type question. So this can be the answer for it. The question is, why convex mirrors are used as rear view mirrors in vehicles? Okay, so this is the answer to that question. It's a very common question, every year it is asked. Okay, so please go through this, and this is important one. Okay, so here children, I have in the slide only I have kept for you question and answers of page 168. First question, define principal focus of a concave mirror. You can get it in the slide as well. The answer is here. A principal focus of a concave mirror. They have specifically asked for a concave mirror. So it is a point on the principal axis to which all the rays which are parallel and close to the axis converge after reflection from the concave mirror. Okay. Then question number 2 is, radius of curvature of spherical mirror is 20 centimeter. What is its focal length? So if focal length, you know, R is equal to 2F, that formula. So F is equal to half of R. So half of 20, that is 10 centimeter. Third question, name the mirror that can give an erect and enlarged image of the object. Just now we have seen that was a concave mirror. Question number 4, why do we prefer a convex mirror as a rear view mirror in vehicles? Why do we prefer it? Same, I had told you that would be a question and the answer was there. We prefer a convex mirror as a rear view mirror in vehicles because of two reasons. A convex mirror always produces an erect image of the object. The image formed by a convex mirror is highly diminished or much smaller than the object, due to such which a convex mirror gives a wider view of the vehicles behind. A convex mirror enables the driver to view such large area of traffic behind it. Okay, so complete these question and answers along with the ray diagrams of mirrors.